Hello, hello. Today is week 12, and we're going to cover a couple of topics today. Decision making, overcoming fear, and building faith. Because I feel that these three topics are really so important in creating the life that we prefer. Without a definite decision, we float in life. Many of us make a decision, but it's not a definite decision. It's not a decision that they're prepared to stand by at all cost. And a decision to this degree might not get you to where you want to go. It must be a definite decision. This is what I want, and I'm going to live this particular thing no matter what. And in making a definite decision, you actually order your mind and you order the universe. When you make a definite decision and you're committed to this decision, an irrevocable decision, it's going to take you all the way through the steps to the getting of whatever it is you desire. When you make a definite decision, you have all of your focus on this one decision. You are very clear and you are so committed that you force the subconscious mind into acceptance. Remember, the subconscious accepts everything that's given to it with conviction and feeling. So if you make a half-hearted decision, it hasn't got the feeling and the conviction attached to it for the subconscious to actually grab hold of it. Without the subconscious grabbing hold, what we've actually got is mixed ideas because the subconscious is running in the past. You've got this idea that you desire in the present, and you've got these incongruent ideas causing incongruent frequencies in the body, and your whole world is going to go chaotic. Because you're attracting from the subconscious mind, and yet you're wanting something different with the conscious. So you've got to make a definite decision. And it's got to be something you're so passionate about that you're prepared to do whatever it takes. Now, when you're making decisions, it's important to make your decision quickly. And what I mean by quickly is within 30 seconds. If you delay on decision making, what you're actually doing is giving the decision making process over to your past conditioning and programming. You're giving it over to the subconscious mind and logic. And guess where all logic comes from? Guess where all the subconscious programming comes from? That's right, the past. So if you're turning your important decision making over to your subconscious mind and your logic, you're going to get the same results you've always had in the past. But remember, we don't make decisions from reaction. This is so important. A lot of us, we will get into a situation, we'll get heated because of our perspective. It's always because of our perspective. Every effect is the cause of a perspective that we've got on something, a belief system. When we get into a heated place and we make this decision from that place, from reaction, we're still taking that decision from the subconscious mind. So we really have to get into our power and be so familiar with our heart, with our sense of beingness, with presence, and make that decision instantly by what feels good. Keep thought out of it. And I know this probably sounds a little bit confusing, but when you're presented with something, you will get an instant reaction to it before thought even enters in. And that is the place. This is the inspiration. This is the message that's coming from within. This is the place to make a decision from. Bob Proctor always said to us, you know, if you delay, whether it's a second, a minute, an hour, a day, a month, you are asking the universe to keep you the same. Actually, you're asking the universe to take you backwards, because there is no the same. We think we're living in a life that's the same, that's the same, that's the same, that's the same, and it's actually in decline. Things are actually in change, in flux, going forward and expansion, or they're going backwards. There is nothing that stays the same, because energy is constantly moving. So we're either going towards what we desire or we're going away. And anything that feels bad is telling us that we're in a perspective that's not aligned with what our soul believes every single time. And that might be hard to take. I know for a long time, you know, I used to say, but it's true. You know, I know this is the right thing to do. And it felt so bad. And it felt bad because I was arguing with my soul, and I was going with my beliefs from my programming, from my conditioning, from my past. It was coming from fear, not from open-mindedness and expansion. And sometimes it's really difficult to stay open-minded, to accept something new, because it's so different to what we've always known. Open-mindedness is a gift, and it's part of the expansion process, and it's something that we all need to embrace. Remember, fear is always birthed from the mind, from the programming. Fear is because our current frequency in our body, because of the thoughts that we're thinking, are different to where we desire to go. It's just our body playing catch up. I've got a couple of points here that I've written down, and this comes from a article that Bob Proctor shared with us on decision making. He said there is a single mental move you can make which in a millisecond will solve enormous problems for you. It has the potential to improve almost any personal or business situation you will ever encounter, and it could literally propel you down the path to incredible success. We have a name for this magic mental activity. It's called decision. You know, when we remember that all of our life is created by our thoughts, by our imagination, you can understand the importance of right decision making. And we don't all get it right 100% of the time. And that's okay, because we can remake our decisions. But when you make a decision and it feels extremely good, that's telling you that you're headed in the right direction. And when you make a decision that feels uncomfortable, you've got to ask why it's feeling uncomfortable. Is it sending you into a spiral of the past, or is it sending you into the unknown? Because both will feel uncomfortable. But if it's sending you into new territory and the unknown, then it's about expansion. And that decision, if committed to, will take you into beautiful places. Decision, or the lack of them, are responsible for making or breaking any career. You can virtually eliminate conflict and confusion in your life by becoming proficient at making decisions. Decisions bring order to our mind. And when we've got order, we've got energy all focused in the same direction. We've got clarity and we've got forward momentum. Indecision sets up internal conflict that can, without warning, escalate into mental and emotional wars. You know, when we have indecision, we are literally arguing with our subconscious mind. You know, oh, I want this. Then we hear the subconscious with its old programming telling us something. And we move backwards and forwards between what we desire, what we prefer, and the history of the past. And that creates mixed feelings in the body. It creates confusion. Remember, clarity is required for forward momentum. Clarity creates harmonious vibrations in the body. And when we've got clarity about what we desire moving forward, then we've got clarity of feeling attached to that clarity of thought, which then leads to clarity of attraction and clarity of action, and everything comes together in a beautiful dance. Indecision causes disintegration. Once you make a decision, you will find that all the people, resources, and ideas you need will come together every single time. President Kennedy made a decision. He decided he would put a man on the moon and return him safely to Earth before the end of the decade. Now, that was a really bold decision. Remember, nobody had ever been to the moon. And he wanted to send a man to the moon and to bring him back safely. This was way before, the space program had kicked off. The fact that it had never been done before in all of the hundreds and thousands of years of human history was not in consideration. He decided where he was with what he had. The objective was accomplished in his mind the second he made the decision that he would do it. It was only a matter of time. And I think it was, who was it? Wernher von Braun? Perhaps, I think, was the man that actually did it. And President Kennedy asked him what would it take to send a man to the moon and bring him back safely. And he said the will to do it. As simple as that. He understood that if there was a will to do something, a way would become available. He trusted his intuition. He trusted the fact that he was a creator. And he knew that with persistence and clarity, it would happen. Once you make a decision, you will find all the people, resources, ideas, and time to complete it. The next time you hear someone say they would like a vacation in Paris, or they'd like to purchase a particular car, but they don't have the money, explain that they don't need the money until they make the decision. And I think that's where a lot of us fail. You know, we want something, but we want all the hows to line up before we actually make the decision. Until we believe that we can achieve something, we won't make the decision to go ahead and do it or have it. I remember Bob on one of the lives that he did with me, and he was talking about a friend of his that wanted to buy a house, a home. Now, these people had absolutely no deposit. He was working with a very small dollar per hour job. His wife was retired, but they wanted to move into a nicer home. And Bob explained to them that until they made the decision, they didn't need to do it. They spoke to Bob about it. And Bob said, okay, let's do it. If this is what you really want, you make the decision right now. Where would you like this house to be? What does it look like? And he put a circle on the calendar, 90 days out. And it worked out it was right before Christmas. He circled this date on the calendar and he wrote on it, I can't remember their names, say Joe and Mary moving into their new home on that date. And he got them to go out and start looking at new homes. Well, within that 90 days, they actually did find the home and move into it on that day. And everything fell into place because they'd actually made that definite decision. You know, they had banks offering them money for the deposit, other financial institutions financing the home, and it all fell together. They lived in that home apparently for 12 years. Then they sold that home and upgraded to something even more gorgeous. And each time they've moved and upgraded, you know, they've done this 3 or 4 times, and now they're living in a mansion somewhere, and they've made so much money out of these homes that have been their stepping stones into what they want. Now, Bob did state that the decision must be made quickly. I remember an example given when Napoleon Hill was being mentored by Andrew Carnegie. Napoleon Hill was asked by Andrew Carnegie, would he be willing to give 25 years of his life to interviewing 500 of the most successful people in history and bringing it together in an article, in a book, so that he could guide the world into how to create success. And of course, that book became Think and Grow Rich. And Andrew Carnegie said to Napoleon Hill, you probably won't be paid anything for this endeavour for at least 20 years. And under the table, Andrew Carnegie had a stopwatch. Napoleon Hill didn't know that, but he gave Napoleon Hill 30 seconds to answer the question. And Napoleon Hill said yes, he would. And he answered him in less than 20 seconds. Now, anything longer than 30 seconds, you know that your logic is answering. So it's really important to be tuned into yourself and make these decisions from your gut, not from your mind, and to do it quickly. And once you make a decision, you change it slowly, if at all. That was Napoleon Hill's quote. Make decisions quickly, and if you change them slowly, if at all. And the reason being, if you make a decision quickly and it feels right, then you are going with your soul. And you should consider carefully changing a decision that's been made from that position. Because once we step into a committed decision and change starts to happen, all sorts of things will be thrown in front of us by our subconscious mind in an attempt to turn us around, to maintain the status quo. You know, moving into a new home, you know, may be a big stretch for somebody. So obstacles may come up to turn that decision around, to keep you in the family home where you've grown up. Or maybe if you're, you know, excelling your income and you are about to step into a new self because of the incredible abundance that's coming your way, you know, your subconscious mind will throw things in front of you to try and stop you because your current financial situation is safe. So, you know, those are two things to consider. But once you make a committed decision, stick to it, own it, because all of the discomfort that comes afterwards is most assuredly coming from the subconscious mind. So that brings us to overcoming fear. Fear will come up soon after we make a committed decision. And that fear is because the subconscious mind is bringing all of the past conditioning up for us to try and keep us safe. And when we understand what causes fear, and fear comes from having mixed vibrations in the body, from having a new thought in our conscious mind, a new desire, a committed decision, and our subconscious mind still lagging behind a little bit. It hasn't upgraded to new thought yet, so it's still hanging on. It's trying to maintain the status quo. Therefore, we've got mixed thought, we've got mixed feelings going on in the body, and we experience that as fear. When we understand what this fear is, we're able to overcome it. We're able to understand that it's no more than, you know, an indication that we're in expansion, that we are taking a leap, that we're headed towards something we truly desire, that we're out of sameness. Out of sameness can bring up fear, but it's not a reason to retreat. We must have faith. Faith is number 3. We cannot be in faith and in fear at the same time. Faith comes from, first of all, knowing who we are, knowing that we are creating our life, and that once we can connect with a thought that feels amazing, when we can see that vision on the inside, that it actually already exists for us. You know, there is no time and space. Everything exists right now. Time is a product of the continuity of our experience, but it's actually all happening now. Our mind orders all of our experiences into a linear sequence to make sense of it. Quite often we'll have dreams and they make no sense. And the reason being that in the dream world, the conscious mind isn't organising things linearly. In fact, it's not ordering anything at all. We are switching from one experience, one timeline, into other timelines, into other timelines. And when I say timelines, all I mean is different levels of frequency. You know, there is a self existing on every level of possible frequency. And depending on our thoughts in each moment, determines which frequency we're actually in. There is actually no such thing as movement. When I move my hand, it's like hundreds or thousands of still versions of me from different frequencies flashing like a movie film over and over and over and over to produce the sensation of movement. We are as much non-physical as physical beings. In fact, we're entirely energetic. Even our body that looks so physical is just energy. But we're not actually our body. We're driving our body. And we are using this body to express who we are. And when we totally understand who we are, faith becomes easy. We understand that we are infinite beings, that we are omnipresent, that we live in all time and space, that absolutely everything exists. Nothing is created or destroyed. And through our thought, we get to choose which experience we have right now. And we can change that experience in every single moment. Our past has brought us to here only because we've used each moment in our past to produce the next thought, which has created or recreated the next moment. Mostly it's recreated the next moment because we are creatures of habit. We think along certain lines and therefore we act along certain lines, and our frequency stays pretty much the same until it doesn't, until we understand who we are and our freedom of thought. We have complete freedom of thought. When I learn to control my mind, I learn to control my life. If I let my mind control me, then it also controls my life. And the programming that's in our mind mostly was created between the ages of 0 and 8 years old. Now, are you happy allowing that child to continue to recreate your life over and over and over again? Aren't you ready for more? We have to decide what we want and then know, because we've been able to think about it and we're able to vision it, we can see it on the inside. We've got this beautiful picture of our perfect day, that it already exists. And when we think about it and feel about it, we're actually there living it. And when we can stay in faith that that is so, then it must become our permanent place of residence. We shift from the frequency we're currently on into the frequency where our future is happening right now, the future that we prefer. And there's an infinite number of futures that each of us can live. And it depends on our thoughts right now, and right now, and right now, and right now. And this is why a committed decision is important. If we have something we really want, every time we change our decision, we shift to a different timeline. What we desire exists on a certain frequency, in a certain place and time. And we have to maintain our focus and our frequency long enough to get us there. Without faith, it won't happen. I made a couple of notes yesterday, while I was driving. I kept pulling up and taking notes and putting them in my phone, things that were coming to me. I just love driving. It's my space where everything flows. We have to make a decision that we are going to allow more good into our life. To receive more good, we have to allow more good. But it's got to be a decision first. We must decide that we are going to be successful and accept no contrary thought. We can never earn or receive more on the outside than we can feel on the inside. And this is important. If we can't feel something, we can't live it. But feeling comes from thought. So we've got to think it, feel it, be in faith until it becomes. We have to set ourselves up to win. And our self-image has to match that desire. So when we choose something that we want to live, say we've got clarity around what we desire in life, we've pictured our perfect day, what that would look like. We've got to become the self who is living in that picture. So for me, my successful self is, I've got a monetary goal because the money represents all the things that I want to do in life. My monetary goal is $100,000 a month. That allows me to, buy a beautiful home or move into a beautiful home on the beach. It allows me to live the freedom that I want. It allows me to empower through different resources, more and more people all over the world. It allows me to support my favourite charities. It allows me to set up, the empowerment centres. It allows me to upgrade my car. It allows me to do all the things that I desire to do. Now, I could just have goals around these things, but that's a lot of goals and it's a lot of different focus and it causes confusion. Having an umbrella goal of a dollar figure actually makes it easy to bring all of those things together in a lifestyle. So all of my current results are a reflection of my past thinking, right up to this moment right now. And if I want something different, I have to change my thoughts to match that new lifestyle. So when I can see that new lifestyle and I can step into the self that is living that lifestyle, then I can make decisions from that new self. I can imagine. All of our life is actually imagined. Can you believe that? I know it was hard for me to grasp at first. I thought, no, life's got to mean more than that. It can't be just a story going on in my consciousness. You try turning off your consciousness and what remains? We are pure consciousness, every single one of us, pure energy, and everything in our world is created from that same substance, whether you want to call it God, source, consciousness, energy, whatever. It's all the same. Nothing is created or destroyed. Nothing is shipped in from somewhere else. There is only one God, one source of absolutely everything. And you are it. I am it. We can only ever connect with ourselves. Ever. So when we connect with something that we don't desire, it's important for us to look within and to say, this is part of me. I created this. What is the gift? What is it showing me? You know, it's been a big journey for me over the last few years, really coming into alignment with me. And a lot of that has been owning aspects of myself that I didn't like. You know, I would have interactions with some people that really triggered me, pressed buttons. And I said, hang on, hang on. If I'm all there is in my world, if it's all in my consciousness, then I'm creating this. And this has got a gift for me, because everything in life is always serving us. It's inviting us to meet with parts of ourselves that we've shunned or not met yet. So I looked at all of these people, these triggers. You know, it wasn't always people, it was situations. It was all sorts of things that were going on in my life, things that I was afraid of. And I realised they were all me. And when I could love these things and welcome them home, when I could accept them, you know what, I did create this, and I see the tremendous gift. It was showing me where I was stuck in my old programming, or it was showing me an aspect of me that I wasn't prepared to own. You know, both good and bad. You know, I am so blessed to be in an environment with such powerful people. In the past, I would look at these powerful people and be envious, wishing that I could be like them. I didn't realise I was them. And when I owned that, that became obvious to me that it was part of me. You know, the transformation was almost instant. And the love that was released through acceptance was absolutely amazing. All fear, all discomfort is because we're clinging on to past thinking as well as forward thinking. We've got our desire and our past arguing with each other. We must make all of our decisions from our future self, the self we desire to be, the self which is trying to birth itself through us. And any resistance to stepping into that future self is caused by the subconscious. I like to ask myself, what would my future self do or feel or think in this moment? Is this taking me towards the self that I desire to be? Is this taking me home to more of me? Nothing outside of me needs to change for me to lock in the success that I desire, whatever that success is. You know, that success could be finding a new partner in life. That success could be getting a new car. That success could be overcoming something. But nothing in my outside world has any power over me at all. I get to make my choices, and I get to interact with absolutely everything in the outside world from a place of love, not fear. I get to interact with everything in the outside world from love, from those higher perspectives, and see the gift that it's offering me. I like to remind myself that only God is, that only Source is, that only consciousness is, and everything is serving me. I could go on, but this has been a long session anyway, and I feel like we've covered enough here today. I wish you all an absolutely beautiful day. I would love for any of you to offer up what you would like clarity around, what topics that you would like me to share about, so that I can bring expansion to that for you. Next week, I think I'm going to talk about magnetics and attraction. But we'll see where it goes. If you've got something else that you would like me to share around, please comment. I would love your interaction and feedback. And I wish you all the most beautiful day. Bye for now.